Over to you, KK. You can take it ahead.
Thank you so much, Ishani. That was a wonderful introduction, and thank you to you and to Isha as well for this wonderful coordination. Uh, Thanks to Deep for allowing me to sort of, have this session with all of you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this session. Just a little bit give a background and the context as to why we are doing what we are doing today. As Ishani mentioned, I've been associated with the technology sector for last almost 20 plus years. Have worked within Mobi, Flipkart, Microsoft. Presently, I work as an independent consultant with technology companies. What I do is I basically facilitate special projects with them. I work with the senior leadership and any projects around special projects around, let's say, go to market strategy, growth. Those are the kind of initiatives that I work with. um, and you know uh, last 1.5 years has been unprecedented for each one of us, right? And while talking to a lot of people, what I found is that what we are all going through is something similar. And that's when I thought I have grappled with challenges myself. It's been a roller coaster ride. So, and I'm going to talk to you and share more about that. Not to sort of, you know, tom on say, hey, this is what I have achieved. That's not the point. But to just share with you that we are all together, and the feelings and experiences there that we are going through is very, very similar. That's the context and the thought process, where I'm sort of reaching out to people and saying, hey, look, this has been the journey that I have heard from others. This is my own journey. Maybe some of you can connect with that and then see how we can sort of help each other. uh, Ideally, this should not have been a PowerPoint kind of a presentation. It can't be. It should have been more like we all sitting around like friends, colleagues, talking to each other, sharing our experiences. But unfortunately, that's not possible right now. So I have still put some kind of slides and thought process. But again, as I said, I would have loved if it was more of a interactive thing. So what we will do is it's going to be about, let's say, 35 to 40 minutes of a monologue. If you want to intervene, you can, but I would request I'm going to keep let's say 15-20 minutes for not a Q&A, but more like a conversation and a dialogue at the end of it, so that we can sort of share our thoughts. So initially, I just want to set a context by putting some of those thoughts through this structured manner. So as you see, why and what this session is about, I sort of dwelled a bit upon it. I'm also going to talk about what this session is not, what are the first steps, circle of life, and then sowing seed, right? So as I said, what I found, friends, is that when I was grappling with my own challenges, this emotional roller coaster upheaval, I reached out to many of my friends and family members, right? And during the conversation, what I found is that rather most of us have a very similar thought processes or similar emotions or the similar roller coaster ride that we have been going through. And in a situation like this, what happens is many a times we can only feel it, we are not able to articulate it, right? Because emotion at times or words at times fail the emotions. So while we know what's going in our head, but we actually do not know what to even share with others. And it's in these moments what I found is when we talk to people, the other person articulates something, then we are able to connect with it. And that's then why I said, let me sort of reach out with my people. Maybe some of them can connect, some of them will find their own articulation. Maybe then they can go through their friends and family and discuss it further, right? So that's what this session basically is all about, is more to give words to our own experiences. Some of you can connect with it, some of you may not be able to connect it. That's absolutely fine. Now, at the end, I don't have any objective, but if at all you want to keep an image in your mind, this is what best comes to me. It's more like plowing our own mind field, right? जैसे वो हल चलाते हैं जमीन पे zameen taiyar karte hain, right? It's more like that. Nothing. We are not trying to achieve anything. This is not like a strategy session, or this is not like an execution session. This is not like a sales session ki isme target achieve karna hai. It's more like a come together, someone is sharing his thoughts. If you are able to connect, great. If you're not able to connect also, maybe this just helps us to say, okay, fair enough, this guy shared something, maybe it makes sense, let me explore it further, right? So that is, at the end, it's more like plowing your minefield. If you can achieve that also, more than happy for that. Now, what this session is not, and it's very important for us to understand, friends, this is not a therapy session. I'm not a therapist at all. This is not a do's and don'ts session also. Please, many a times I would definitely say this is ideally what we should do, this is what we should not do, but please don't take it as if I'm trying to give a sermon, because this journey is very, very personal. Something that works for one person may not work for another person, right? So this is not like a do's and don'ts. Thirdly, it's not even like a feel good or a feel bad session. I'm not going to try and make you feel good about yourself. At the same time, I'm not going to make you feel bad about yourself, right? It's not that. And lastly, friends, this is not an inspiration session. This is not a motivation. This is not a pep talk. You may not feel anything at all after this 45 minutes, and that's absolutely fine, right? So it shouldn't happen that, oh, I felt energized and I charged. No, not like that. Just go back to that original sign where you feel, okay, कोई आया, किसी ने बात की, उसकी बात मुझे अच्छी लगी, कुछ उसके पॉइंट्स मुझे जचे, मुझे मेरे थॉट्स में क्लैरिटी आई, कुछ थॉट्स मेरे अभी भी क्लियर नहीं है. If that's what all you can achieve, that's it. And if you can't achieve anything also, that's absolutely fine, right? Great. So friends, the very first step in anything that we want to sort of address in our life, and a little bit of background. So I've been a Vipassana practitioner for last about almost 10 years now. I did 2 courses of Vipassana. It's a 10 days retreat. And when things normalize, I would earnestly request if you can go. And why I'm so openly, even if you may say canvassing, because it's done free of cost. It's one of those few things in life, one of the really good things in life, which are still done on the principle of what a human being should do for another human being, right? So it's a 10-day course, residential. Many of you might know it's all free of cost. They don't even charge you for food. They don't sell you any cassettes. They don't do any MLM marketing. You just go do the course for 10 days. If you feel like donating something, even 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 100 rupees, whatever, do it. If you don't feel like, you just come out of it. So anyway, this is not to canvas about that, but it's a, and there are multiple Vipassana versions, but it is one by Shri S.N. Goenka. I think the website is vipassana.org. In Igatpuri, they have the main center. So if you can, please do that. So anyway, the first thing, friends, in anything that we want to do in life, the first thing is about awareness about the problem. And the second most thing is acceptance about the problem. So for example, let's say I'm an angry man, right? Or I'm an irritating personality, or I'm a talkative personality, whatever it is. The first thing is I should be aware of that. And the second thing is I should accept, yes, this is what it is, right? And today when we are going through this tough times, the first thing is we should be able to at least articulate for ourselves. हमारे जहन में हमको समझ में आना चाहिए कि हो क्या रहा है, right? अगर मेरा मूड खराब हो रहा है रोज सवेरे उठने पर, या मेरा मन नहीं लग रहा है काम करने में, तो मुझे समझ आना चाहिए कि ये मेरी प्रॉब्लम है, राइट? इट्स लाइक you go to a doctor, he diagnoses, and that diagnosis tells what the problem is, right? And the second step is acceptance. So once we know that this is what the problem is, once I know that, look, I am grappling with this situation, I'm having this emotional upheaval, or I'm feeling depressed, or I'm feeling distressed, or I'm feeling melancholy, accept it. Nothing wrong in that. We are all human beings. Let's not fight with it, right? So the first step in this whole journey, any journey of even self-development or self-transformation and stuff like that, is about awareness and acceptance. And friends, awareness doesn't come very easy. Acceptance तो उससे भी tough है क्योंकि हमारा ego आ जाता है, right? But the first thing is awareness. So how do we walk on this path of awareness and acceptance? How do we even take the first step is what I'm going to sort of share from my own experiences. I have had a challenge. And that's why I gave a context of Vipassana, and I'm going to talk about meditation and where meditation helps and when meditation doesn't help, or what meditation cannot do also, right? Even those things. And I just want to give an example. Let's say we buy a good car. What is the utility of the car? The car has to take us from point A to point B in a safe manner, in a secure manner, in a comfortable manner, right? But what do we expect? Or usne Creta kharidi hai, and then 5 people should admire us, and then I should feel happy. But we don't feel happy. And again, as I said, this is not a sermoning session, but I'm just trying to give an example. It's like during winters, दिल्ली की ठंडियां बड़ी अच्छी होती है. मैं 3 साल दिल्ली रहा हूँ और बड़ा एंजॉय करने को मिलता है. And you also get an opportunity to dress very nicely, right? During those winters, the best of the dresses comes out. But what is a woolen supposed to do? अब मोंटे कार्लो का जो एक स्वेटर होता है वो मुझे वार्म रखना है, वो मुझे सुख देगा. That's not what the objective is, right? So the same thing, when we talk about this whole journey, we all need to understand that whatever we are seeking, what is the utility of that particular stuff, right? And that is very, very important. So we'll just sort of move forward. You might have seen movie Titanic. So on the you see a sailing ship, and on the right you see a sinking ship, and then you also saw this evergreen which got stuck, right? Now, what is it that I'm trying to share with this? Whether the ship sails, whether the ship sinks, or whether the ship gets stuck, all three happens in water, right? And there is a beautiful quote: ships are safest at the harbor, but that's not what they are meant for, right? अगर हार्बर में शिप रही, पोर्ट पे शिप रही, तो शायद वो कभी डूबेगी नहीं, unless and until huge tsunami kind of comes, right? Otherwise, ships are not going to sink. But that's not what ships are constructed for. Ships are constructed so that they can sail in water. And if you really look at, it's the same water which allows the ship to sail. It's the same water that gets the ship sinking, and it's the same water where at times the ship also gets stuck. So what is an equivalent of water for us? Thoughts. It is thoughts which powers us forward. It is our thoughts which creates, let's say, challenges for us, and it is our thoughts which also brings us down, right? And this is what we need to understand in this whole endeavor. Every moment we have countless and countless and countless of thoughts, and that's why I talked about awareness and acceptance, and that's what a meditation, a meditative mind does. I'm not trying to propagate any religion or anything like that over here. What is meditation? Meditation is nothing but just trying to be aware of your situation. Today you are all listening to me. I'm sort of, I feel I'm saying something to you, right? And my mind is not wandering here and there. That's a meditative mind. A mind which is in a flow, a mind which is in a present is a meditative mind, right? But during this pandemic, what has happened? वो जो हमारे जो विचारों की जो let's say एक जो लहरें हैं, उनको तहस-नहस is a very mild word. They have been sort of completely, it's like a tsunami kind of a thing that has happened in our minds, right? We just don't know. And it's true for me also. I just didn't know. For the first 2 months, I just didn't know what was happening. Someday I would listen to music. Someday I would try to do some kind of a work, and I'm not even able to focus my attention on it. And it's absolutely normal. आप लोग सब सोच रहे हैं, यार हम तो घर में ही बैठे हैं, हम तो हमारे फैमिली के साथ हैं, हम क्यों नहीं कर पा रहे, काम में मन क्यों नहीं लग रहा है, काम इतना सारा है लेकिन मन नहीं लग रहा है. That's exactly what happens, because thoughts are so very powerful. It can, as I said, it can float you forward, or it can sort of sink, or it can get us stuck. And today, friends, we are actually not sinking. And that's why I said awareness and acceptance is very important. We are definitely stuck, no doubt about that. But trust me when I say we are actually not sinking. Yes, we are not sailing the way we should, but definitely we are not sinking at this moment in time. And I'm going to share some examples as I move forward to sort of, give a little more clarity on that. Now, this is a circle of self, and this is where, managing our or managing ourselves in the tough time happens. So there are these 6 blocks that I have created: family and friends, physical intimacy, work, hobby, leisure, meditation, and food, sleep, and exercise. And I'm going to focus more on food, sleep, and exercise because that is what has helped me, right? But nonetheless, we will touch upon each one of them. Now, first, let me talk about family, friends, and mentor. Friends, this plays a very, very critical and crucial role in our life. Now, for some of you, it may be that you have a very, let's say, strong bonding with your family, with your parents. Your parents might be together. You might be with your together with your parents. That could be a scenario. But some, it may be a very different scenario. You may be in some other town and your parents are in some other town. For example, during last year, one of my very good friends, right, at the peak of the lockdown, somewhere around mid of May, this friend, he lost his mother in Kolkata and he was in Mumbai and he just couldn't go. There was this whole mess of passes, right? And you had to take different passes. So imagine if you have to travel from Mumbai to Kolkata, how many passes one had to take. And this friend, he just couldn't make it. He just couldn't go during the lockdown. Now, how helpless you can be at that moment in time, right? And he went through that particular scenario. There's another friend of mine very recently, during the second wave, he was in Bangalore and his father and mother, they were in Bhubaneswar. And one fine evening, he gets a message that his father needs hospitalization. And we all know what kind of harrowing experience we had, right? So every one of us have gone through some of these challenging moments in our life, right? And again, we don't have any kind of a let's say a textbook kind of a worksheet. It's not like a marketing 101 or sales 101 or strategy 101 कि यार ये 4 पॉइंट में लाऊं और इसको लगा दूं यहाँ पे तो मेरी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाएगी. I mean, my own uncle, he was diagnosed with COVID. He was in hospital for almost a month. And there were like a couple of times when I actually went inside the COVID ward. And the only reason I went is I just couldn't imagine what it would be for a loved ones to be in a hospital when you just can't go and meet, right? So I said, fair enough, let's go in, what happens? It was not a brave act, trust me, it wasn't a brave act. I didn't feel like, oh man, I feel brave and I'm going. No, nothing like that. You just had to do it. Something could have happened, so what, right? So friends, again, coming back, what I'm trying to say is each one of us have grappled with these kind of moments. And I'm sure you would have grappled with these kind of moments. But at the same time, I want to share some very interesting scenarios of what I have seen with some of my friends. And this is like a couple of years ago. So this is a friend of mine. I visited him in Chennai and I was staying with him. मैं उसके घर पे था. तो मैं रोज देखता था कि ये जो बंदा है ये 8 सवा 8 बजे नीचे आता था चाय पीने के लिए. It's like a multi-storied house he had, and for 1 hour, sorry to use this word, he would do chakallas with his mother. He would do some random talk, either make fun of relatives, make fun of himself, make fun of his mother, pull her leg, right? And his wife would also be there and make some small banters kind of a thing. And then I asked him, I was there for a couple of days. I said, I just saw this, Naveen, this is what you do. And he says, look, this is my way of de-stressing. Every morning for an hour, I just sort of de-stress my mind by talking all this kind of random things. Absolutely, right? So in psychology, they say there is something called coping mechanism, right? How do you cope with your situation? Now, this is what he found for himself, de-stressing kind of a thing. When you look at your own family members, you would see that maybe your father has his own coping mechanism, your mother has her own coping mechanism, your wife has her own coping mechanism, you have your own coping mechanism, or many times you don't even know how to cope with it, and which is again absolutely fine. But what again I'm just sort of trying to say is that friends, family, and mentors, they play a great part. Now, in this situation, depending upon with whom you are close to, for example, I have some 4 or 5 friends and mentors whom I keep reaching out to, where I keep sharing my thoughts, where I say, look, this is what's going in my head. Some of them even helped me to articulate what my challenges were, right? So I've been a consultant. So for last 8-9 years, I've been working as an independent consultant. Now, when you are working as an independent consultant, 2 things happen. First, you don't get that joy of getting promoted every 2 years, 3 years, right? So there's no sense of achievement I may be making money, but there's no sense of achievement that you normally get in your life, right? And the other thing that happens when you're consulting is that you are not the hero. The company that you are working with, the teams that you are working with, you have to make them hero, right? So let's say tomorrow, if I engage with someone like you are the hero. Your team is a hero, right? So with all due respect, while I may have done a lot of work at the back end, but at the end, it's the people in the company who are the hero. And I was not even able to understand that this is what was bothering me. And I was feeling miserable. I'm like, I'm working with companies, I'm helping them grow, but why am I not feeling good about myself? And when I sort of did this kind of conversation with my friends and others, they said, KK, this is what your situation is. And as I said, for me, that worked out to be true, right? So there was an awareness. And then I said, yes, maybe this is what, whatever you call the side effects of that particular job could be, right? So friends, again, what I'm trying to convey to you is if you have personal mentors, if you have personal guides, and I'm not talking about professional guides and mentors, it could be your colleague in the office. It could be your best friend from the school, from the college. It could be one of your distant mama, bua, whoever it is, right? Find those people and have conversations with them and seek their inputs. And again, don't try to find solution, right? The initial thing is the solution will come automatically. Over a period of time, you yourself solve. Unfortunately or fortunately, in a corporate world, we have been working for all these years and our minds are set in a certain way. Unfortunately, this particular scenario of last 1.5 years doesn't fit in that realm of things. The second point, again, I am not an expert in this area, but I can definitely tell you physical intimacy plays a great part when you are a married person. And a lot of my friends, they've articulated this, right? Some of them have been traveling or they have been going out and they are like in two minds, right? If they come back and if they give it to their spouse and from there to the kids and so on and so forth, right? So it's a very challenging thing. Again, as I said, I am not an expert, but the reason why I wanted to put it as a placeholder is that many a times in an Indian society, we don't talk about these stuff and what it does to our minds. So only thing that I can tell or suggest for people who are there in this session, have a very open kind of conversation with your partner, with your spouse, whoever he or she is, and please articulate what's going on your mind. Please articulate whatever your concern is or his or her concerns are, and I'm sure you'll find a way out. The third thing which I want to talk about is work and money. Now, ideally, work and money should not be clubbed together, but I have clubbed it because we are all professionals and our life revolves a lot around work and money. We all come to work so that we can earn money, right? And that's a fact of life. Let's not deny. I mean, no one is here for charity, right? It may not be the only objective, which I can understand, but for a lot of us, or rather for majority of us, one of the top three objectives why we come to work is because we want to make good money so that we can give a good life for our families, for our children, we can secure a better future, and nothing wrong in that. But between this work and money, friends, let me sort of share with you that there are couple of, let's say, bands in which people operate. And where each one of you fall, it's for you to figure it out, right? I'm not saying this is right or that is wrong, but from my, again, experience, I will share you where what has been bothering me and how did I navigate this particular stuff. Now, on one extreme, friends, you will find people for whom work is the mission of their life. So people like, let's say, Madame Curie, right? She died because uh, uh, how do I put it? Because of those radioactive materials that she was working on. That was another extreme, right? Or let's say Swami Vivekananda. For him, it just didn't matter. Work was like all his purpose of his life. There was another Nobel laureate. I'm not able to get his name. He was, I think, he's one of the oldest Nobel laureates in the world. I think he was some 94 or 95 years old when he got a Nobel. Imagine. And when the Nobel Prize Committee called him up and said, "Sir, congratulations, you have won a Nobel Prize." You know what his reply was? He just put the phone down and said, "Don't disturb me, I'm working." That's the kind of passion people bring to work. completely dedicated or devoted to the work. Excuse me. Then on another extreme are people for whom work is just a means to make money, right? They're not about, it's not about work, it's just about money that they can earn from that. Then there are people in between like us, right? For us, work and money, both of them are equally important. But friends, in a situation like this, today that we are going through, a lot of things are coming in our mind. मेरा जॉब रहेगा क्या, मेरे पास काम रहेगा क्या, मेरे को प्रमोशन मिलेगा क्या, मेरे पास किस तरह का काम रहेगा. And you guys are in a travel industry, one of the worst hit travel industry, right? Worst hit industry, right? So the anxiety that you might be having, I can very well imagine it's going to be 10x than the anxiety that other people are going to have. People who are in the financial world, they are not going to have any anxiety. Stock markets are booming, they are making money. People who are in the entertainment space, in the OTT space, because I've been consulting with companies who are in the OTT space, they don't have any problem because they have just too much to do, right? People who are in, let's say, online commerce also, they may not also have, let's say, someone like food delivery. Again, they may have just too much of work. But people who are those who are in the travel industry, right? It's one of the worst hit industry. So imagine each one of you friends are having actually a double whammy. Firstly, you're grappling with your own challenges, and on top of that, you're in an industry which has been stuck like a tsunami, worse than a tsunami. So it's but natural and normal that it must be plaguing your mind as to how do I cope with this? What's going to happen about this particular industry 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line? Right? So again, if that is what's being going on in your head, it's absolutely, I wouldn't say perfect, but I would say it's absolutely natural and it's absolutely normal to have those kind of thoughts which might be sort of bothering you. So in between friends, like people like us, for some of us, for example, for me, going to office is very, very important. I can't be at home. And I've been working as a consultant here in Nagpur with one of the clients. And I really thank them because their office has been working with some reduced staff and they've been allowing people to come. And for me, going to office is like absolutely therapeutic. I just feel at ease. If I'm at home, I feel restless. And if some of you have been feeling something similar, that's again very natural and normal. So if you are thinking, अरे मैं तो घर में बैठा हूँ, मैं तो family के साथ हूँ, लेकिन फिर मैं restless क्यों हूँ, right? Because that's how our minds again are wired. For let's say thousands of years, we have been, even in the times when we have been hunter gatherers, we have been going out in the forest. And when it was like an agricultural kind of an evolution, if some of you have read the book Sapiens, right, from hunter gatherer, then we became agriculture. Even then we were going out in the fields for hours together. But now for last 1.5 hours, when we are stuck with our electronic devices, it's obvious and it's but natural for us to feel very, very, very discomfortable, right? So again, in this domain of work and money, where we are in the middle, where we are looking at work as an opportunity for us to earn, to give a better livelihood for our family and friends, and the industry where we are in, it's but natural for us to have anxieties around it. And since there are a lot of senior leaders in this particular call, uh, again, I would say that just because someone is at the age of 40 or 50 doesn't mean or he's supposed to have a far more mental strength than someone who is in his 20s. No, friends, in a situation like this, you might find many a times that your kids give you a better energy, a better source of strength than what you yourself are grappling with, right? And if that source of strength comes from your colleague, from, let's say, people who are reporting to, let it come. And if that source of strength you can percolate to them, please allow that also to happen, right? So again, in the work and the money part, as I said, let's say there are three bands: one extreme who are only for work, the other extreme who are only for money, and the third one in middle, people like us who are in for both work and money, who look for some kind of a joy when we do stuff. And this I want to really harp upon, because I was told that holidays and experiences team is are part of this particular session. So I actually wanted to connect with you, and then I want to move on to the next block, which is hobby, leisure, and entertainment. Friends, this plays again a very important role in our life. And there is a subsequent slide where I'm going to share with you how psychologically they have shown that a certain chemicals which generate in our mind help us to assuage the pain of, let's say, whatever these kind of psychological problems. But for the holidays and experiences team, what I really want to highlight is, friends, you're working in such an amazing department, or let's say amazing function at Make My Trip, where it directly correlates to or directly contributes in a well-being of everyone. Yes, right now people are not taking holidays, but as and when things gets back to normal, and I'm sure it's going to get back to normal slowly and steadily, you all should feel so much purposeful. You all should feel so much meaningful, because people who are going to book those holidays, people who are going to seek those experiences, they are again like us who would have gone through this particular trauma. So here is an opportunity for each one of you where you say, look, there are these hundreds of people who are coming every day onto my portal and who want these holidays, who want this experience. Now, what can I do best for them? And it is here, friends, that I want to really highlight one thing. This is an opportunity for each one of you. While you have gone through this, let's say, trauma or pain of last couple of months when the business has been down, but once the business comes up, it's an opportunity for each one of you to sort of give a very different perspective to your own work. So if you're from a product team, just keep it in mind. Oh, I went through this particular problem. Maybe there is someone else also who is going through this problem. How do I incorporate this as part of my solutioning so that that person is able to collect? When I talk about my marketing campaign, can I be, what kind of messaging I can talk to, with what kind of messaging I can reach out to people so that they are able to connect with us in a much more better way, right? And this, friends, again can happen only for people like you who are working in this kind of a domain, because once people like me are looking to take their families out for holidays and for other kind of leisure and entertainment, we would want kind of an experience where someone has worked for us in a manner so that it gives us that kind of a joy, right? So hobby, leisure, and entertainment, again, it's, as I said, uh, it's a very, very positive distraction. If you really want to test it, what hobby and leisure means for you, I'll give you a very small experiment to do. If you are not in gardening at all, right? A lot of us could be in gardening, but let's say if you are not into gardening at all, bring just one pot of plant and keep it in your balcony or somewhere in your house, and just look at your own behavior, what it does, what that plant does to you, and observe it. Suddenly you will see that this whole element of caring comes out. वो सिर्फ एक पौधा है, वो सिर्फ एक झाड़ है. But some of you who would have got pets, you can connect with that. But some of us, let's say I was not into gardening at all. I don't have pets at all. But the moment I bought one plant and I kept it in the balcony of my house in Mumbai, you know, my wife, myself, my kids, every day we would just go and see, अरे आज किसी ने पानी डाला या नहीं डाला. It looks very trivial when I'm making this conversation to you, but those of you who have not experienced gardening or pets or any hobby kind of a thing, try this very small experiment and you will feel a very different yourself. And obviously, if you find that very encouraging, you can sort of take it forward. I come to the next one, which is meditation. Now, friends, from my own experience, I just want to share one thing. Meditation in itself will not help you, and this is from my experience, I could be wrong, but meditation in itself will not give you a peace of mind. And I know I'm making a very, very drastic statement, right? Meditation plays exactly the same role what a Monte Carlo sweater plays in our life. You put on a Monte Carlo t-shirt, or sorry, sweater, you feel very warmth in winter, right? Meditation basically helps in expanding your awareness for yourself. And trust me, friends, for many of us who take the first step in the field of meditation, the initial days could be little more painful, क्योंकि आपके अंदर के जो घाव है वो फूट फूट के बाहर निकलते हैं. Your personality suddenly gets exposed to you. Things that we have been denying, things that we have been trying to sort of hide it in the deepest of the closet, they come forward, and it's good for our development. It's very important. So unless and until our I wouldn't say the darker sides, but let's say some of our weak spots, our vulnerable spots, we don't know about them, we can't work on that. But for many of us, that experience is not a very joyful experience. Let me put it that way. It's a very painful experience. But what meditation will definitely do for you is it will sort of give you much more awareness to what's happening in your life. It will help you to articulate your situation in a much better way than what you have been doing in the past. So I would have loved to do this particular session, but since we have a hard stop at 5, I'm not able to take you through a meditation kind of an exercise. But if you are interested, you can search for Goenka Ji Anapana. Anapana is a style of meditation, right? It's just a breathing style, not a breathing style, sorry, I stand corrected. It's a style where you just bring awareness to your breathing, right? So maybe as a small exercise, we'll just do it for, let's say, 1 minute. What I would suggest and request all of you is just close your eyes, don't do anything, and just try and observe your breath, the breath coming in and the breath going out. You don't have to regulate, you don't have to modulate, you have to do nothing. What we will all do is, we will just, whatever is your natural normal breath, let it be as it is, right? So we'll just do it for 30 or 40 seconds. All of us close our eyes and just bring our awareness on our breath. Mouth should be closed. We should breathe in through our nose and we should breathe out through our nose. Whatever it is, if it's a shallow, let it be shallow. If it is hard, let it be hard. If it is buoyant, let it be buoyant. If it is fast, let it be fast. Don't regulate it. Just bring awareness for 30 seconds. Well, friends, some of you might have just noticed that when you are trying to focus or when you are trying to bring awareness, n number of thoughts were coming. And when you practice this, try this. As I said, you don't have to do anything. Just maybe put a timer on your phone for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Just take a corner of your room, put your lights off, just sit. You don't have to do any Padmasana. If you feel like even sleeping on the bed and doing it, fine, but just don't get yourself disturbed. And very, very simple. Just bring awareness to your breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. With whatever pace or speed it is. And just do this. And if you want some kind of an assistance, you can search for Goenka Ji. There are 10 minutes videos, there are 20 minutes. Even if you do it for 5 minutes every day, let it happen. And as I said, if you think meditation or this exercise will give you great joy or inner peace in the initial stages, no, it's not going to happen. So the objective of meditation, whatever we are doing this particular exercise, is just to help you bring a little more awareness to yourself. and what that resultant awareness does to your own thought process, you yourself observe. Now, for some of you, it may happen in few days, for some of you, it may happen in weeks, some of you, it may happen in few months, right? So that is what on meditation itself we can go on, but I just wanted to give you this small, simple exercise for you to sort of do it. Now we come to the last aspect and the most important of all, food, sleep, and exercise. And friends, if you have ignored everything that I have told you so far, or if you are asleep, or if you didn't find any of my points interesting, no problem. This is the most important of all, right? If you can do this, you will definitely see your, you have to trust me, not because you have to believe me, simply because that's how the machinery of human psychology works. Whether you like it, whether you don't like it, if you follow this, you will see an outcome. That I can sort of tell you. And again, subsequent slide, I will tell you why it will happen the way it will happen. Now, food, sleep, and exercise. What does that mean? Now, first and foremost, friends, I will talk about sleep. Now, मुझे नहीं पता आप लोगों का स्लीप के प्रति क्या थॉट प्रोसेस है या क्या आपका एक्सपीरियंस रहा है, but someone like me, I need at least 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep every day. That is what I found for myself. 8 घंटे की नींद मुझे चाहिए. If I sleep by 10:11, I can get up by 6:30, and this is what I sort of observe from my own body rhythm. I can comfortably get up by 6:30, and my day goes on well. But if I sleep by, let's say, 1:30 in the night, even if I get up by 8 in the morning, and if I continue with this kind of a routine, I feel tired, I feel restless, I don't feel rested. Let me put it this way, right? And 6 hours or 7 hours, let's say 7 hours of sleep, it's not about the quantity, friends. So if you are sleeping at 1 in the night and if you are getting up at 8 in the morning, it's not the same when you sleep at, let's say, 11 in the night and get up by 6:30 in the morning. And why it is not the same, and if you want, you can do a little more study on that. There's a Japanese Nobel laureate who found that there is something called a circadian cycle, right? And again, these are all very, very scientific things. Nothing, it's not that someone sort of, it's not like a mumbo jumbo kind of a thing, feel good kind of a thing, right? And and it's a study, and that's why he won a Nobel Prize. And he found that people who work in late night shifts, whether it's in factory or in call centers, they have a very negative impact on their bodies over a long period of time, right? So sleep is such a magical thing. I think it's one of the most magical pills or bullet that you can ever have. It's like a silver bullet that we are looking for, right? Give me a very quick fix, easy formula for things. I think sleep is that. But for sleep to be in routine, what is very, very important is we need to go to bed by, let's say, 10:30, 11 in the night. And if some of us are addicted to watching Netflix or Prime or television or games and stuff like that, that's not going to help us, right? Sleep के साथ एक और एक जो चीज जुड़ी है वो है food. So many a times you would find that if you are awake for a long period, wake up by, let's say, till 12:31, obviously you're going to feel hungry, right? Even if you have had your dinner by 8:39, you're going to feel hungry. And typically then what happens is that we munch on some kind of a junk food or the other. हम कुछ chips खा लेंगे, कुछ bread खा लेंगे, so on and so forth. Now what happens with all these things is that our next day morning routine gets disturbed. So we don't get up on time. And because we don't get up on time, then we say, अरे यार आज exercise नहीं करते, आज हम कल चले जाएंगे, परसों चले जाएंगे, right? So these three things, food, sleep, and exercise, they are actually interconnected to each other. So if you can say, no, I'm going to go to bed by, let's say, 10:30, and this has happened to me. So there were times during the first wave, when I would not sleep before 1:30 at all. So I've been a marathon runner, by the way, for last almost 12 years. I've done like 13 Mumbai half marathons, 12 half marathons since 2009 I've been running, right? Uh, and I have had a reasonably good routine, my daily routine when I was in when the normal times were there. I would get up by 5:30, do my meditation, go to run for a beach. But everything went for a toss because there was a lockdown. You were not supposed to go out on the road. And I didn't have that discipline where I could get up and do my exercises. So I would go to bed by 1:30. At times I've gone to bed by even 3 in the morning, right? And I would get up by 9:30, 10, and for next 2 to 3 days, and this is I'm talking about my own body, my body will feel so unrested kind of a thing, right? So again, friends, what I'm just trying to share with you is that if this is what you have been feeling, if you want to really fix your psychological stuff of your mind, these are the 3 things that you will have to fix: food, sleep, and exercises. If you fix these 3 things, and if you can bring a routine, if you can bring a rhythm, you will see a magical thing happening in your life. That I can guarantee you. So for exercise, now a lot of us, I don't know how many of you exercise regularly, but those who have been wanting to exercise regularly, and again, from my own experience, I'm going to share a small stuff with you, which we will do it. And I would request all of you, even those who have been exercising, to just try this every day. And this will just take 30 seconds of your time, not more than that. Now, if you're not suffering from, let's say, a back problem or knee problem or anything like that, just tell yourself that every morning, right, let's say between 7 and 7:30, you are going to do 10 squats every day. Every day, just 10 squats. If any one of you who is not into exercises and who want to embrace exercises on a regular basis, this is the formula I'm giving you because this has worked for me, right? So what you would need to do is every day, let's say between 7:30, and that's why you'll have to go to bed early in the night. Tell yourself that you're going to do only 10 squats. So now I request all of you, we have been sitting for almost 45 minutes, in another couple of minutes, I will close my session and will open for Q&A. This is the last thing which I want to request all of you. Please get up from our chairs, right? Each one of us, including myself. And we are only going to do 7 squats, just 7 squats, not more than that, right? So please request all of you to get up from your chair, and I will also join you in doing 7 squats. So if you would have got up from your chairs, all of you, requesting you to, please. This is like a habit creating stuff we are doing it. And trust me, what I'm going to share subsequent from now, it's definitely going to help each one of us, right? So nothing more than that. Just 7 squats, go down and get up. That's all. 7 times. Nothing more than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's it. No 10, no 9, no 12. Now, what I want each one of you to embrace, and believe me, just tell yourself every morning between 7 and 7:30, you are only going to do 7 squats. If you are into other exercises, if you are doing that regularly, please continue. But all those who have been wanting to do exercise, but who have not been able to do it, start with this. What this will do is, over a period of time, and keep this 7, let's say for months, for a month, 2 months, 3 months. Don't get excited. Don't say, yaar, aaj main 10 karunga, aaj main 15 karungi. No. If it is 7, just do it 7. If it is 5, just do it 5. If you want to add 1 or 2 more exercise, no problem. But don't make it like a half an hour schedule which you will not be able to follow. So what I am suggesting is, pick up 1 or 2 exercises, do it for 30 seconds to a minute, but do it regularly on a daily basis, and put this as a habit. Tell your mind that, boss, mujhe ye roz karna hai, bas. Just as I brush my teeth, just as I just as I have my food. I don't give any excuses for brushing the teeth. I don't give any excuses for having a food. I'm going to do this, and it's going to just cost me 2 minutes of my daily time. What it will do is, at a mental level, over a period of time, your mind will come into a very positive thought of saying, yes, I am obeying, I am obeying. आज हमारे माइंड के साथ में स्टोरी क्या है, हम 10 चीजें हमारे दिमाग को बोलते हैं और एक भी चीज नहीं करते हैं, तो रात को हम अपने आप को विप करते हैं, अरे मैंने ये भी नहीं किया, मैंने ये भी नहीं किया, मैंने ये भी नहीं किया. If there is one thing that will help each one of us to sort of bring back our lives in a much more, let's say, positive manner, is this food, sleep, and exercise. In the interest of the time, I'll just quickly go through the subsequent slides. This is the happiness chemicals that I was talking about. If you look at everything that we have talked about, friends, family, meditation, hobbies, recreation, these are the chemicals that gets generated in our mind. And these are chemicals which contribute for us to feel good. And again, this is all very scientific, right? So people who suffer from depression, the doctors must be giving any one of these chemicals as part of the medicine, which our own body has capable of generating and secreting. And that's why I'm focusing again and again and again. Fix your sleep, fix your exercise, and you will see a magic happening in your own lives. And you don't have to go for any diet, you don't have to go for any fancy gyms. Just for 2 or 3 minutes every day in the morning, do whatever exercise you are feeling comfortable with, and you will see. And I'm giving you my own case. I had a challenge, and somewhere in the first week of March, I said, I'm going to do 5 squats, I'm going to do 5 push-ups, and I will do only 5 Surya Namaskar. And I will just take maybe a kilometer or a half a kilometer of walk, right? And I didn't increase that 5 to 7 even for months together. I've just left it that way. So every morning, it's not about whether that 5 has become 15. Every morning I tell myself, whenever my mind says, नहीं यार आज नहीं करते हैं, बस ये 5 ही करना है, बस ये 5 ही करना है. That positive reinforcement is what you need to give to your mind at this point in time, right? So we'll just, these are some of the books which, if you are interested, you can sort of go through. On food, there's a very simple rule in this book, Michael Pollan. He says anything which is packed, preserved, or processed should be avoided. I'm not going to delve into that. But in case you are interested to sort of understand yourself better, connect yourself with better, these are some of the books that again you can go through. So we did this again. Choose an exercise, decide repetition, fix a time slot, friends. Very, very important. Don't say मैं सवेरे करूँगा, शाम को करूँगा, 9 बजे करूँगा, because the whole point is to bring that body into the rhythm. मुझे रात को 10, साढ़े 10, 11 बजे सोना है, मुझे 6:30, 7 बजे उठना है, मुझे ये 3 मिनट के ही एक्सरसाइज करने हैं, बट मैं रोज करूँगा, right? So this is what we did. We did the sowing of the seed. Now, they say discipline is far more important than motivation. And that's what Thomas Edison said, right? Life is 99% perspiration, 1% inspiration. And that's why I said, friends, this is not a motivation talk. I've read a lot of self-help books, and trust me, many a times they don't help. They create more problems than they provide solution in our life. What is more important? You would have seen it. Make My Trip, right? What is it that gives people that wow experience? It's the consistency, right? ऐसा कभी नहीं होता है कि यार मैं आज लॉगिन 6 बजे करूंगा तो मैं लॉगिन नहीं कर पाऊंगा, मैं 10 बजे करूंगा तो मैं लॉगिन कर पाऊंगा, मैं क्रोम ब्राउजर से करूंगा तो मैं लॉगिन कर पाऊंगा, मैं सफारी से किया तो नहीं. ऐसा कभी होता ही नहीं है. मैं कहीं से भी, कोई भी डिवाइस से आ जाऊं, कोई भी ब्राउजर से आ जाऊं, मैं मेक माई ट्रिप मेरा एक्सेस कर सकता. That seamless experience that each one of you are providing through your product, that same seamless experience, consistent experience, you need to provide to yourself through this small things that we talked about, and especially food, exercise, and sleep. Bring that in routine, and friends, you will see a magic happening in your life. Trust me, it is a magic that you will see. I have seen that. Although I was a long distance runner, I went through the slum, and then I said, forget whether I'm going to run 10 kilometers or 12 kilometers. These are 3 exercises that I'm going to do. It just takes me 5 to 10 minutes on a daily basis. And it's been 3.5 months now. And I've just stuck to those 5 repetitions. in 3.5 months. This is one of the last slide, and I'm sure a lot of you would have seen this slide. That's the power of compounding, right? So if you don't do anything, at the end of the year, it's 1. But imagine if you are just doing 5 squats, 5 squats multiplied by 300, that's 1500 squats every year. 1500 squats is not going to make you like a John Abraham, agreed, but 1500 squats will make your knees far more stronger than what you yourself had a year ago. That much I'm sure you will all agree, right? तो 1500 स्क्वाट करने के बाद नीज में 2% तो स्ट्रेंथ बढ़ेगी ना, बैक में 2% तो स्ट्रेंथ बढ़ेगी ना, and over a period of 10 years if you are adding 2% compound it 30-40% आपकी स्ट्रेंथ बढ़ जाएगी, right? And that is the most important point, friend, is जैसे हम वो बुफे में जाते हैं ना, हमको लगता है हम ये भी ले ले ये भी ले ले, जब हम पहले 2-3 दिन एक्सरसाइज के करते हैं ना, हमको बहुत जोश आता है, हम सोचते हैं हम ये भी कर लेंगे ये भी कर लेंगे ये भी कर लेंगे, हम 4-5 एक्सरसाइज ले लेते, लेकिन एक हफ्ते के बाद में हम एक भी नहीं कर पाते. So my suggestion, recommendation to you is just pick up 1 or 2 and start small, and for months together, for next 2 months 3 months दिमाग मत लगाओ, 5 करना है बस. मुझे जैसे मैं ब्रश करता हूँ, मैं आधे घंटे तक तो ब्रश नहीं करता हूँ, मैं 2-4 मिनट करके निकल जाता हूँ. बस उतना ही टाइम मुझे मेरे एक्सरसाइज को देना है, क्योंकि ऑब्जेक्टिव है सिर्फ मेरे माइंड को बोलना कि मैं रोज कर सकता हूँ. I know we are running out of time, and so I'll sort of rush the slides. Ishani has come. This is one thing which I wanted to share. Lifestyle change is difficult. It's not easy. And as I come to the last slide, I just want to tell one thing, people, that be nice to yourself, be kind to yourself. If you are not able to follow anything that we have or which I have talked to you so far, it's absolutely fine, right? At the end, we are all human beings. We are not a computer algorithm. We are not a switch on, switch off buttons. It's been a very, very testing times for each one of us. But the business that you are in, it also gives you a power. It also empowers you to bring joy and happiness in the lives of other people. So, you should all thank yourself. And I'm sure as you guys get back to work slowly and steadily, right? Yes, in initial days, there is going to be some kind of anxiety. आप लोग अपने घर से बाहर नहीं निकले रहोगे. आपके फैमिली और आपकी जो फैमिली है वो आपसे पूछेगी आप कैसे जा सकते हो. All those things will come, right? And it will take time, and give yourself that time. But as you all come back to work slowly and steadily, as you collaborate with your colleagues, my only humble request, my only humble prayer, my only humble suggestion to each one of you would be that take things in a much more easy manner. And if you take things in a much more easy manner, if you be kind to yourself, if you be nice to yourself, if you handhold yourself, I'm sure the kind of trauma, the kind of pain that we have all felt, that will get assuaged. The clouds, the darker clouds will disperse, and the new sunshine would sort of brighten our lives. With that, I close. I'm a little sorry that I extended, but if you have any Q&A, if you have any discussions, 5-10 minutes with Ishani's permission, if she permits us, we can take it, or else whatever she guides, take it forward.
Sure. Thank you so much, KK, for a very insightful session. In case we have any questions, we can take them now. Otherwise, we can wrap up. So if anyone wants to share any final words, then we can take them now.
Hi, KK. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. But I have just one question. You mentioned, we should be more comfortable in sharing things with our relatives, with our friends. But that's also the time when you're most vulnerable, right? You're probably the weakest at that point in time. And as humans, we always have our own defense mechanism, right? So we don't really want to expose ourselves to others. So how should we go about it? While I do understand, and people do talk about the fact that you should share your experiences, it makes you feel better, but it's not that easy, right? So what is your suggestion? How should we go about it?
Yeah, very pertinent question. So it all depends. Firstly, in my case, as I said, these are not friends or family whom I knock their doors just during this particular time. These are my friends whom I have been sharing stuff over a period of time, right? I've been seeking their guidance and their help. So you need to have that kind of a trust. And as you rightly pointed out, if you don't have anyone like that, then two things. Parv, right? I got your name right on your screen?
Yep, yep.
Yeah. So Parv, if you don't have anyone like that at this point in time, I would not recommend that you just go and open with anyone. As you rightly pointed out, people with all due respect take advantage. But if you have anyone like that, maybe it's your school friend, it's your college friend. In my case, there are 3 or 4 such people who have been knowing me in and out, right? And I have been trusting them for last, let's say 15, 20 years. I've been having conversations. They've been guiding me, mentoring me. And then, it also varies. So on professional side, I have some set of people. On my personal side, I have some set of people. So depending upon that, I would suggest the better analogy is have your own board of director kind of a situation. And if you have that, great. But if you don't have, then at least you can start cultivating it, and it would help you, let's say 10 years from now, when you would have cultivated that kind of relationship.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I also have one question. KK, thanks for all the insightful session, and it was a great session, and I appreciate for all the things. See, I wanted to understand, because in the, like, while we are all in the midst of this kind of a crisis situation, and we all have our own personal responsibilities, and while you are not directly impacted, because I'm giving my example, because in the last 2 or 3 months I was not impacted, but my family was completely impacted. Then people, your neighbors, your relatives, all were impacted, your colleagues were impacted. Then, so while you were not impacted, you had the full responsibility to take care of everything, and you were doing the work also at that point of time. So how do you unclutter your mind that point of time? Because people look up to you with a lot of expectation, but you feel completely helpless, because while you are, people look up to you because you are not impacted, but you can't do anything. But at the same time, people look up to you to perform your duty as well. So your mind gets cluttered with so many thoughts, and you're not able to identify what is important, what is priority for me, and how do I take care of those things. So just any suggestion and idea, how do you, like, how do we unclutter our mind and focus, which is something more important for us at that point of time?
Yeah. So,
Sorry
Amit,
to interrupt. Can you please stop sharing the screen so that we can all see each other on the screen?
yeah, sorry about that.
Thank you.
Just a sec. Is it better?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So, Amit, right? Did I get your name correct? Okay. So, Amit, आपने जो प्रश्न पूछा है, हजारों साल पहले यही प्रश्न अर्जुन ने कृष्ण से पूछा था, और उन्होंने पूरी भगवत गीता उसको सुना डाली थी. It's not easy, and there is no quick fixes. Firstly, let me tell that. I grapple with the roller coaster ride on a daily basis. On a daily basis, it's not like, oh, and I also see that there is some kind of a pattern. And by the way, I forgot to mention one of the things that you can do, a very simple exercise. You can do it on your phone. You can do it on your on your notebook. Just try to map your mood. Okay, so very simple. Let's say 0 is for neutral. 1 plus is when you feel good, 2 plus is when you feel ecstatic, 1 minus is when you feel little low, and 2 minuses are when you feel terribly low, right? And just on a daily basis for a month or two, just plot that every day, how you felt, whether on that day you felt 2 pluses or 1 plus, 0 minus, or double minus, right? And then see whether you can come out with some kind of a pattern. At least I see myself, I have some kind of a pattern. Every 2 to 3 weeks, it sort of goes up and down, up and down, up and down kind of a thing. But I mean, just to answer your question, firstly, as I said, it's not easy, because we are talking about handling your own mind, which is the most difficult beast to handle. But having said that, what I would suggest or recommend is, uh, for any situation like that, just ask yourself, what is the best you can do, right? And remember one thing, and this is where I read very recently, that if you look at our superheroes like Iron Man or Spider-Man, right? They are actually normal human beings. They cry, they feel sad, they feel bad, right? I am sure you would have seen in movies Spider-Man crying or feeling vulnerable. So the first thing, or rather, one of the things which I would like to say is that when we try to provide help or support to someone, we don't have to come with a mindset that it's not going to impact me at all, right? Let's come with a mindset. I'm also a human being. I'm also vulnerable. I'm as vulnerable as anyone else. But in this situation, this is the best I can do. And not necessarily it has to be the super best. I'll just give one example, Ishani. I know, and maybe a lot of people can connect with this example. And this happened with me about 10 days ago. When there was this lockdown going on, I'm in Nagpur right now, and I just gone out for a walk to a medicine shop, and I saw this young man crying. Literally, he was walking and crying profusely. Very, he just had a bag, just like a migrant worker. And I just didn't know why he was crying. He was just walking and he was crying. And I followed him for 20, 30 meters and he was literally crying almost. And then I went to him and I said, hey, what happened? And he said, मेरे दोस्तों ने मेरा पैसा ले लिया, उन्होंने मेरे को रात को दारू पिला दी, and they have run away with my money. So I said, where are you going? He said, my village is about 200 kilometers. So I said, how are you going to go there? He said, I don't know. I'm just going to walk. And I was like, shocked. Walk for 200 kilometers? It's like 9:30 in the night. What this guy is going to do? Now, obviously, with all due respect, I can't bring him to my house and give him shelter, right? So I said, fair enough. I made him sit. I went to my home, got some food for him, got some biscuit packets, got a water bottle, and got some money, and I gave him. It's not like thousands of rupees, few hundred rupees. And at that point, my only thing is this is the best I can do. Yeah, the super best could have been if I can be, let's say, like a Gandhi, get him into my home, give him shelter, arrange for his transport like Sonu Sood. But I can't do all that. I know my own limitations, right? But at least at that point, if that's the best I can do, and if I have done it, maybe that's good enough at that point in time. So, I mean, just sort of answering your question, one, maybe if you can have courage to read Gita, you should. It's a wonderful book. I have read off and on from here and there, not fully. And the second is remember about the superheroes. They are normal human beings. They cry. It's not like if you're a superhero, you know all, you be all, and you do all. And lastly, I would say whatever best you can do, you do, and what you cannot do, you cannot do. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, agree. Thank you.
And
I
friends,
think we can wrap up.
Yeah,
In
in
case
case
we have
anyone
any more
wants
questions.
to reach out, you can always drop me a mail, kk@live.in. I've also shared my number. Again, as I said, I'm not a professional coach or anything. This is not what I do for my living. It's more like just sharing my experiences, but whatever best I can, I'll be more than happy to do that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, KK, for the session. It was really engaging and insightful. Thank you, everyone who stayed till the end. Before you log off, we just have a short feedback poll. Please fill it. It will hardly take 20 seconds. I'm just launching it. Thank you again. Thanks a lot, KK.
Thanks to each one of you.
Once you're done with the poll, we can log off. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Can I leave or what would you suggest,
sure.
Ishani?
Okay, you can
thanks.
drop
And
off.
I'll connect with
you.
Okay.
Done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good day. Bye.
I'm closing the poll 10 seconds in case you want to wrap up.